country are different, and they got different needs. And every time a black child goes into an integrated school, he goes in there with different emotional baggage. He goes in there with different educational deficits, and he got going in there with different needs. He goes in there with all kind of different problems. How in the world can you sit there and let him sit beside a white kid and come up with this reasoning that they came up in the civil rights movement in 1954, declaring integration over desegregation by simply saying there's no way on earth that a black child can learn if he's not sitting beside a white child. Now, I find that an insult. Maybe you don't, and some of the others don't. I find it insulting to keep telling black folk that there's no way that a black child can learn unless he's sitting beside a white child. And that's what's been going on in integration. That's why I did two studies. One I called the Disrupted Student. And I wanted them to send you these books too so you can use them. And surveys on what integration was doing to black kids. It was corrupting black kids. Black kids learned very little in those educational settings. And you talk about all these black kids now going to becoming sport figures in white colleges. It's not because of their educational achievement. It's because they want those black kids. They want those black kids who used to have the best skills in sports. They want those kids that have good credentials for football, basketball, baseball, in the white schools to go to. In the black schools to come to white schools. And so, right now, I can't find anybody that's got a curriculum based on black kids' needs, what black kids need to come to school and learn. That's different from white kids. And so when I ran, like in Detroit, Michigan, they gave me 900 of the biggest high school dropouts and thugs and pimps and hustlers in Detroit, Michigan. And then totally put an article in the paper that says, kids, you better watch out for this guy. Okay? Okay. So, you know how I got those kids trained? I tried to address the needs of the black child and the black children were different from whites. How in the world can you keep sending black kids every morning to white schools to learn what? Who's in there? What was teaching them? And they're not one has any of my books in there. And most of the books they got in there, the kids spend their time trying to learn how to read and understand things about Benjamin Franklin. Okay, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. How in the world are they going to help a black folk survive in an alley fight for food and substance in these urban cities, knowing about not Booker T. Washington, but about Benjamin Franklin? And so I'm just saying that to you to answer your question. We should have totally separate educational systems, and don't be afraid to go back to it. That's the thing, is go back and say, no, we don't believe that lie told that a black child cannot learn unless he's sitting next to a white child. That's one of the worst lies that ever told. And they got mad down in Florida when I was teaching that in Florida in schools and telling the white teachers all over Florida, do not tell black kids that when they come over here. I don't want them here. I want you. They want to close down Florida A&M University as an example. That was a university in Tallahassee, and convert it to a junior college. I had to stop them from that. I went on to the Department of Education below me and say, what are y'all doing for the black kids? They said, well, we're gonna close down at Florida A&M University, and because that's a waste of money. And I said, why? They said, because we don't need two universities in the same city. We don't need Florida State and Florida A&M University. I said, don't put your hands on that school. That's the first thing. They said, we're planning now for the last 20 years to run an expressway right through the center of the campus in Tallahassee, Florida. And we're going to bust that school up by running that street right through the center. I said, I'll be damned if you're going to do that. While I'm over education, you take that street. I don't care where you can stick it, where you want to stick it, but you don't put it in near blacks. And so what you did, if you go down to Tallahassee right now, you'll see a curve where the street turns and goes over 2 blocks to Adams Street. Then they go around Florida University campus. I said, you're going to teach these kids some black education. And right now, to my knowledge, the only books that were built in all my educational circumstances in the military, in the universities, and in all levels of government, and running campaigns that covers everything you want to know about black folks and racism is in those 5 books. And yet you can't even get them into the school. I said, how in the hell can a black mom and daddy or sister and brother send their kids to school? What are they learning? That's why in Detroit, Michigan, they can't pass anything. That's why the schools are dysfunctional. Nobody says black kids come to school with different needs than white kids. I would go up and down through the neighborhoods and ask Dennis, I said, I got kids now, they're not learning and they're sick every day. I said, why? He said, why? I said, because they got toothaches. No kid's gonna learn when they got pain. I said, could you help me? And he said, yeah. And I would take kids over to the dentist, get the little medication and when they had a bad tooth or something. And I also went to Great Lakes Insurance Company in Detroit, Michigan, and said black kids got different needs than white kids. And they gave me, and I said, I need money for that. And I said, why? I said, because they need food. They don't get breakfast in the morning. Most of those kids come to school, you know what they had for breakfast? A bag of damn potato chips and a soda. That's their breakfast. I said, no, they ain't gonna cut it here. That's what the kids, those are white kids go to school with a full breakfast, cereal and eggs and bacon and everything else. And no. And so the Great Lakes Insurance Company and one other company gave me enough money to run a food program for breakfast in the morning and lunch for those kids. So they get everything like chocolate milk and regular milk. They can open up those boxes and have cereal in the morning when they come in. This is before the classes start. I said, don't start these damn classes until those kids have something to eat. Nobody's gonna sit there and learn anything when they're hungry.
Well, let me.
Dr. Watson, I haven't found one yet, and that's been back 25 years. I can't find any school in the United States that has my books in there, and there aren't any books like that. Those books in the United States, there aren't. In my books are very special books, and I got to keep telling black folk they're special. Why? Because black kids and black people in America are exceptional people. They're not African American. They're Native Americans. They came here, they learned and grew up here and lived here, but they haven't been treated right.
Well, let me hop in there. First of all, I want to say your wife did say she only wanted you for 30 minutes, and we've already passed that time up. But
you're gonna be in trouble. You know that.
I know. I don't want to get you in no trouble. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read something to you out of your book Powernomics, page 103, where you talk about education, and I just want you to just read it, hear what I say, and then tell me the first thing that comes to mind as a result of what I'm reading. So if anybody wants to get a copy of Dr. Anderson's book, just go to powernomics.com. That's where I got my copies from. You say that in schools that incorporate the Powernomics plan, black children should learn how to relate to and depend on each other. Achieving a sense of belonging is a driving force behind the popularity of gangs in urban areas. The extra-legal aspects notwithstanding, gangs offer black children a vehicle for team spirit, togetherness, security, a sense of direction, perceived power, and opportunities for gaining wealth otherwise missing from institutions within black communities. Schools can be forces to redirect by including opportunities for black children to compete group against group in an approved and guided manner. Groups give children comfort, motivation, and instant feedback. Schools can help establish habits of group learning and of appreciating the difference between cooperative group achievements and individual achievement. Students can learn to produce for, buy from, and sell to members of their own communities, while also depending upon them for the necessities of life. They should also learn that in times of difficulty or in solving common problems, they can come together and formulate acceptable common solutions. So it seems like that togetherness is a theme that you think that our children need to learn that would carry over into adulthood. Can you speak to that?
Yes, and the best way to say that is that once they decide that black children are entitled to, and this society is obliged to give them a special education that addresses all the needs, emotional, psychological, educational, and economic needs of those kids. That's going back for generations. They need help. They need help. And so consequently, they're going to be competitive. I would demand, if I was a parent, and I know you're going to do it for me too, tell them that put black kids, put the best schools in every major area where they have a significantly high black population. Put up black schools, or 2 black schools there, and make them exceptional schools. Be for talented kids, and make them special, and make them exceptional schools. Where the best, you put the best teachers, the best materials, the best books, put the best anything that they need in those schools. Make them so attractive with professors and teachers that now the white kids want to leave their neighborhood and come to the black schools. I don't want blacks out there begging to go into a white school, and the white kids call them all kind of bad names. Put in every school, they should have, again, exceptional, at least 1 or 2 exceptional schools, strictly based on the needs of black kids. Black kids are the only people in the world who never enjoyed the fruits of industrial revolution. Nobody's ever taught them how to build industries. That's why we don't have any industries. We don't have a damn thing. We don't even have businesses. Even the schools don't even teach business. We teach business administration. I don't need blacks administering white schools and white businesses. I want black schools to be blacks where they learn how to build industries and build how to learn and be creative and compete as a team and buy support and hire their own people rather than teaching kids how to get prepared to go get a job in a white neighborhood and a white school and a white business. No more of that stuff. So do me a favor, because you're about the best person I can ever think of to do it. Tell them that black kids are exceptional people. There's nobody in this nation, not Jews, not Indians, not Hispanics, not African American, Arabs, nor Asians or anybody else have been treated the way blacks have been mistreated. They've always come in and got first class everything. Black people were the only ones that were denied for 465 years everything they should have been given free. Just like every white person came and got 650 acres of free land. Blacks couldn't even, after 465 years, couldn't even get 40 acres. They've never gotten anything, and I've never had one white person nor a black person go to elected office and say, I'm here to represent my people. That's what I'm swearing an oath on. That's what the nature of this position. I want schools that are addressing the needs, the special needs of black kids educationally, emotionally, psychologically, and in every other aspect of business development.
All right. Well, you know what, Dr. Anderson, on that note, I'm going to do what Mrs. Anderson told me to do. I'm gonna follow instructions and say goodbye to you, sir. As much as I want to talk to you all night, because I love you. I don't want to upset your wife, and I know you need your rest, but you're always welcome here. Anytime.
Okay, I do want you to call me though, because I'm working on that thing. I haven't forgotten about what I'm doing for you.
Okay.
But I got away. I think I might be able to enhance it when you and I talk. I've forgotten about it, and I never will forget it. And with this academy that you want, I want a special school for black kids at the public level and also at the private level.
All right. I'll give you a call this week. Let me see. Today's Wednesday. I'll call you tomorrow.
What's today? Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, tomorrow's Thursday. Okay. I'm going to look to hear from you now. And take care. And the one thing you can rest assured of, I always enjoy coming on your show. I always don't ever have any doubts about that. It's just that sometimes I just don't feel that well, because I've had experienced about 10 years of real bad health problems. But I want to make sure that you know that you're just so special to me. And you are one of the few people that I have all the confidence in the world, and that you can help our people. But don't let them keep going to integrated schools. Let them have special schools. And that's because right now our people, they talking about, well, we go to school because it's bad for them to be segregated. And why is it that today, after all these years since 1954, which is going on near 100 years, that white people right now are more segregated from black folk today than they were in 1954. And after all those years of integration, you're more segregated than you were in 1954. Somebody is lying or BSing.
And they definitely segregating the money.
That's right.
Yeah, they keeping their money.
Well, right. See, black folk right now might have an annual disposable rate of income for about maybe almost $104 trillion. And
you mean what? You mean 1.6 trillion? That's all.
1.6 trillion. I'm sorry.
1.6
trillion. And now, and why is it that still, as it has been for the 400 years, why does 95% of it goes right into white folks' hands?
Mm.
And even coming out of black hands? Why is it that only 5% of the money that they get paid every year, and right now I would equate them to somebody about being about the 9th richest nation of people on the earth, Black Americans, that in proportional comparative terms, that they have an income that makes them like the 9th richest nation. Mm. And yet out of that 1.6 that we're talking about in terms of trillion, that 95% of that goes directly to white hands. It does not bounce not one time. And that every business in America is stuffed with non-black businesses. We've got Arab business, Korean businesses, and you got Mexican businesses. You got everything but black businesses. Mm. And they're taking your money. And black folk only keep 2% of that 1.6 trillion. They only keep 2% of that in their own hands, in their own communities. And yes, so black folk are trying to survive off of 2%. And out of that 2%, only one half of that one are black-owned businesses. And so we got terrible conditions, and they need you desperately, because you're a young man, you're a smart man, and you sure are a good-looking man out there. So you get out there and tell them to say, I'm here to tell you the wise you all up, and I'll be proud of you. You just call me tomorrow anytime. We're gonna finish talking. I'm gonna mention something else to you tomorrow. Take care, everybody, in the classroom. And
all right.
And tell our people that those books, those black labor books, are not necessarily black labor, but the Powernomics books. There are 5 of them there. Those things can teach you everything that white schools are totally incapable. There's no white schools that can teach you black history and do it sufficiently, because they don't know it. The teachers don't know it. Nobody taught them in the last 20 generations. They came here getting gifts, free land and free black labor, and our free privileges and rights and priorities that blacks have never been able to get. Mm. I love you all, and fight for what you're entitled to. Take care, and I'll be on again soon with you.
All right, see you soon, Dr. Anderson. Thank you. And let's stick around for a minute, everybody, because I want to read a couple more paragraphs of Dr. Anderson's books, and I hope you'll give Dr. Anderson a digital thank you for his great contribution. You know, he's one of those people that I really hope. Here's the thing. Here's a little secret I want to tell you guys about. You may have noticed this, maybe you haven't, but I'm gonna give you my perspective on this. When you think about historical figures that you know about, whether it's Martin Luther King to George Washington, everything in between, most of these living superheroes or dead superheroes, whatever you want to call them, these people are made larger than life, mainly because of different aspects of marketing. People spread the word. People make sure the story stays alive. As long as the story stays alive, the legacy lives. The legacy stays alive through people. It stays alive through you and I. So what I really need us to understand is I need us to be very proactive about really making sure that Dr. Anderson and others like him get their rightful place in history. Now, what does that mean? That means that we have to be the ones who carry the torch for this. And I hope that I'm not offending anybody when I compare it to to when Jesus was here and things like that. I'm not saying Dr. Anderson's Jesus, so don't get offended, none of that. But if you look at Christianity, for example, or any religion, the religions survive because you have people that are very intentional about spreading that gospel. You know, Black wealth, there's a second religion for Black people, which I believe is the key to our power, has to be spread like a gospel. It has to be something where you carry that, you share that with other people. You don't have to be aggressive with it, but I think you have to be consistent with it. You cannot be passive. You cannot be passive. You cannot be passive. You cannot wait for white folks. You cannot wait for other Black people to do it. You and I have to do it ourselves. So I would just like everybody, if you could give me a verbal yes in the chat, just give me a verbal yes to let me know that you're going to go and you're going to share something about some of these things that you're learning here. You can share the website, powernomics.com, which is where Dr. Anderson's books all exist. You can share something about this book club if you want to. The URL is blackkeystogreatness.com. It's a free class offered in the Black Business School for the whole community. We've done over 200 lectures on Powernomics and related topics. Also, you get free access to my full life class. I put all that in there. It's totally free. You can share that. Maybe you could share some of the ideas that you learned here. Maybe you could share that name, Dr. Claud Anderson, right? See, we decide who our heroes are going to be. That's that first step toward liberation. For the one of the cousins of liberation is intentionality or the ability to manifest, right? We have the power to manifest whatever reality we want to see, just like Hollywood does. Hollywood, Hollywood has all these agendas. They manifest their agendas. They say, hey, we want everybody to think that, that XYZ is okay. So that's what they do. They put it in a movie. They push the agenda politically. They push it at the Grammys and the Oscars and all that stuff. They invent award shows so they can give each other awards for pursuing the agenda. And I'm not mad at them for that. That's intentionality. They're not waiting for you and I to do it. They're doing it themselves. So what I want us to do is understand that we are the people we've been waiting for. We are the solution to this problem. We are the ones who can carry this torch. And if we all carry it together, the torch is not heavy. It is not hard for us to make sure that in each of our households, every one of you is in a household, and many of you are the head of a household or have an influence in the household. So in my view, in my belief, and I know I can say in my household, that name, Dr. Claud Anderson, in the ears of my kids is more important than a George Washington. It's more important than Ben Franklin. it's more important than even Martin Luther King. Like, no disrespect, but that's my preference. That's my right to manifest that in my household with our children. So I want you to exercise your right to do it in the way you see appropriate. But what I really want to encourage you to do is to feel the power of intentionality and to focus and practice this. Okay. So anyway, powernomics.com, just a reminder, that's where you can get all of his books. And if you want to invite anybody to the book club, just send them to blackkeystogreatness.com. If you want to get all the recordings, we have everything recorded. You can go to drboycebookclub.com and use the code word. What's the code word, Chanel? I think it's book club, where you can get 20% off or something like that. Chanel, if you're in the chat, put that in, confirm that for me if you can. But I think if you use the code word book club, you can get 20% off everything in the Black Business School. So feel free to go to drboycebookclub.com. All right, so let me read a little bit more of this to you. This is page 103 of the book Powernomics. Just for the record, we've done over 200 lectures. We've been doing this for 2 years. The book club's meeting every week. We still got a long way to go. We haven't even hit Dr. Anderson's other really interesting books, like the Black History Reader, where he tells you all the things in Black history that you never ever learned, or Dirty Little Secrets, all the little secret stuff that they're never going to teach you in a public school. And then when I get done with Dr. Anderson's books, I'll move into other books and other spaces. I just decided that because I love this man, because he is my godfather, we didn't even formally make that arrangement, but I've decided he's my godfather. I want to make sure that his message is shared. I'm going to push this sucker until the day I die, and even beyond the grave. I promise you that. So let me read some of this to you. But schools, so he says here on page 103 of Powernomics, but schools must teach groupism that supersedes class and income differences. This will be a hard lesson for many upper middle income Black children and their parents to learn, because the ethic of individualism is well entrenched within them. Learning group interdependence and interaction begins in the early grades of communal elementary schools. During those years, the early formal socialization of Black children should stress mutual respect, a sense of shared destiny, cultural values, even manners and courteous behavior, and build a sense of kinship. These group characteristics will be key if we are to gain group wealth and power. So this is where Powernomics and Black wealth related principles differs from standard capitalism. A lot of people make that mistake of that. They'll say that, that we believe in the Black Business School, that Boyce Watkins wants everybody to be a capitalist, and that's simply not true. I'm not a big believer in capitalism, because capitalism, these concepts of group-based behavior and communal living and communal experiences, that's more of a socialist concept. So what I'm saying to you is that when you're thinking about your economic systems, you cannot go around just copying white folks. So that means you can't copy them when they tell you to become a hardcore capitalist, and you can't copy them when they tell you to go off and become a socialist, because socialism and communism, which is heavily influential in the Black community, it was a heavy influence in the civil rights movement. It was a heavy influence in even in the Black Panther Party. Those ideas leave you weak. Why do they leave you weak? Well, because there's no clear pathway to economic strength and an economic foundation. Do you know how many times Dr. Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson had to go to beg for payroll money from people like from business owners like the brother down in Birmingham, AG Gaston. They had to go to guys like AG Gaston and say, hey, we've been marching and praying and holding vigils, but we can't pay the bills. So AG Gaston was a guy that could write a check and pay the bills. So you need that teamwork. You need your business-minded people to be part of the movement, just like you need your activists. You cannot be an adequate activist if you can't pay the bills, because every activist who ain't got enough money has to go work for a capitalist on Monday just so they can feed their children. So the other thing too, what's another example I was thinking about? The Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party, in my view, I'd be really curious to know what was your business development plan to allow you to fund everything that you're trying to do. You're doing the free lunch program for children. Why does it have to be free? When you have Black people coming in, dropping their children off, getting free lunch, when they could have paid you 25 cents or 10 cents or whatever for that lunch to allow you to have money to fund the revolution. Every revolution must be funded. Every revolution must be funded. Every revolution must be funded. The Black Lives Matter movement that occurred during the pandemic, oh, that was heavily funded. George Soros and all those people were writing multi-million-dollar checks. You saw Black Lives Matter collect $100 million from capitalist organizations. None of that money trickled down to the Black community. So not only must you have access to the money, but you must control the money. So having people write checks for you because you can't write a check yourself puts you in danger. And I've seen this up close. I kid you not. I talked to a guy who was a white, very wealthy libertarian. And he was a really nice guy. He had a lot of respect for the work that we do on this platform. I don't know how he knew about me, because most white people in America don't care nothing about people like me, and I like it like that. I want to stay completely off their radar most of the time. But this guy happened to know about me, I think, because he had a colleague that worked with him who was from Europe, and Europeans are a little bit different from Americans. They don't have as much of the Americanized racism. So this white guy in London really liked what I did and told his billionaire boss about me. So the billionaire boss and I got to talking. He's a really nice guy. Let me tell you what happened in this conversation. He made an offer to me. I'm not making this up. This is 100% true. And what he offered to do was he said, I can help you and your movement increase your power by tenfold. And I was like, okay. And I just heard him out. But I don't really enjoy conversations like that. I don't really want somebody to just write a check to control things, because I know that money comes with a trade-off. But what he wanted to do was this. He said, I can arrange for you. You pick 8 people that you trust. I can arrange for you to all meet at, some remote ski resort or something, and you can make a plan for the Black community, and we'll provide the technology infrastructure as well as the funding to help you execute that plan. And I told him, no, thank you. And the reason I told him no, thank you is because I'd heard another person who was heavy in the civil rights movement tell me that the same thing happened with Dr. King and his group. A lot of the things that were going on in the civil rights movement, in many cases, there's a hidden hand behind it. And unfortunately, what occurred during the civil rights movement was that a lot of your legitimate activism got undermined because they would go and fund some Negro that they would splash on TV all over the country to distract people from the activists in the community that were really trying to get things done. They really actually wanted things to happen. So they'd say, okay, let's find a guy, make him a star, because we control the TV networks and we can write checks and we can give him awards and make him important in the Black community, to the point where it distracts from these other people that are doing work in the streets. So ultimately, what I want you to understand is that anytime you make a legitimate movement, it has to be funded by us. And that's another reason, for example, why in the All Black National Convention, we do not allow corporate sponsorship from people that are outside of our B1 space. And it means we can't do everything we want to do, but it's okay. I'll do what we can until we raise the money to do the other things we want to do. You have to be independent. You have to be free. And that's extremely important. So let me keep reading here. So Dr. Anderson is saying that our kids have to learn group-based behavior at an early age. And that is really important. One of the reasons that for this past maybe year and a half, I've been stressing to you the importance of understanding relationship building as a key mechanism for wealth building. When you have the right relationships, it's easy to build wealth because you're doing things as a collective, you're doing things as a team, you're bringing resources together. This is an economic principle. The more you work together as a group, the more wealth you have, because that collaboration means you're not just sharing each other's money, each other's time. You're helping each other out. You can bail each other out in a tough situation. You're sharing ideas. You're sharing networks. You're sharing labor. You're sharing all these things that allow you to get things done that you can't get done on your own. So that's what. So these are skills. These are skills. And being married to a therapist right now, I'm learning more and more every day about how a lot of these things that pull us apart, this trauma that's very real in our community, this horrible trauma that we go through, causes us to get easily triggered, to have major trust issues, to get angry at each other easily. And you got to work through the trauma so you can learn how to smoothly cooperate with other people without going crazy and getting mad and getting scared and angry every time something goes wrong. That's what drives a lot of it. And I understand it because I felt a lot of this myself. So let me keep reading. So he says, in addition to groupism that exceeds class and wealth levels, he says these group characteristics will be key if we are to gain group wealth and power. We live in an achievement-oriented society where a group is measured and respected by its competence and competitiveness. The feeling of being loved and respected as a group grows from early group experiences in the family. Both kindergarten and elementary schools are an extension of the family and play a primary role in the socialization process. The old adage that the way the twig is bent, so the tree will grow is relevant here. The early socialization process should teach teamwork to reverse meritorious manumission or the Willie Lynch syndrome of divide and conquer. The community will be the basic building block for a new Black America, and every Black person should receive his recognition through the success of the group and the community, not for an outstanding solo performance. So this is where I want you to pay attention to some of the stuff that happens in hip hop, where there's a culture of bragging about how great you are and how much better you are than everybody else. You got to cut it out. That's nonsense. That's silly. If your group ain't doing well, then you're not doing well. Malcolm X, what he said very clearly. He said, "I don't care how white folks treat me. If you're not treating all my people well, then you're not treating me well. You're not my friend." So he says, competitive businesses, industries, communities, and politicians need socialized young people to benefit the Black community and themselves individually, and as part of that community. Teachers, administrators, and ancillary staff need training in the new philosophies, methods, and how to revise content to achieve the new group goals. So now he goes on to education reform number 4, retraining education teams. And actually, before I read this, and this will be the last section we cover tonight, I want to remind everybody that if you're coming to the convention, we're going to have a special gathering of everybody in the book club and everybody in the stock market class. So if you still haven't gotten your passes yet for the convention, we're meeting in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th. It's going to be absolutely excellent. We've got Rizza Islam coming. We've got billionaire Mike Roberts coming in. We've got the chairman of the board at the Air Jordan brand, Larry Miller, who's a great guy. He's coming in. We've got Linda Clemens, who's a body language expert, coming in. We're doing everything from Alicia's doing her speed dating event again, which was really popular last year. We're having the fun times. We're doing our spades tournament, which if you like to play spades, this will be a fun time to hang out and play spades. And then also on top of that, there's going to be a lot of learning, a ton of learning for you and for your children. We have a whole entire children's educational track. We're going to have everything from crypto to politics to stock market investing to relationships covered. So if you want to meet friends in terms of people that think like yourself, come to the convention, come to the convention, come to the convention. It's a great place to connect with people who are building the future just like you are. So allblacknationalconvention.com is where you can get your passes. Also, we have a few more slots for anybody that wants to be a vendor. We don't have any more slots for volunteers. I think we over 100 of you reached out to be volunteers. So I think we're good on that area. But in the other areas, we're always looking for a few good men and women that want to participate. So feel free to take a look and get your hotel room by October 7th, because after October 7th, the discounted hotel rooms will not be available anymore as per the hotel. It's going to be at the downtown Sheraton Hotel, which is a Black-owned hotel. So I'm super excited about it. Okay, so reading here, education reform number 4, retraining educational teams. Let's see. A community is the cornerstone of wealth and power in the Powernomics National Plan. In Chapter 3, we learned how to convert our neighborhoods into functional communities. Black America schools must be communities within a community and carry through the theme, especially in the formative elementary school years. The entire education team will need to be retrained so that they can reform the schools for our purposes. The instructional program should teach the keys to community building, a sense of community, trust, cooperation, and group accountability, unity, group competitiveness, and academics, all in the context of Black heritage and local community goals. Whew! That's good. So basically, what he's saying is that you want to learn how to work together as a group to solve the right problems. And what do I mean by solving the right problems? I'm saying that you have millions of really talented, really intelligent black people who are solving problems for other people. You have the same problem in your community that China used to have, where China would produce some of the best scientists and educational talents on earth, and they would all go move to another country and do things for other people. And then eventually the Chinese government got smart and they said, we don't really care what you're doing for America. We want you to do it in China. We don't really care what you're doing over in India. We need you to do it in China. We don't care what you're doing in Jamaica. We need you to do it in China. So ultimately, I think for black folks, we have to kind of sort of expand that ethic and try that ourselves and say, okay, we see what you're doing for white folks, and that we think that's really nice that you're doing well, inventing things for this pharmaceutical company. But how do we translate that to something that's going to benefit the community? Okay, Mr. Rapper, we see that you're doing well, going off around the world, standing on stage, holding your testicles, calling yourself the N-word in front of 100,000 white people at a time, and that's giving you a nice big house and some fancy cars and toys for your kids. But how does that translate to the well-being of the people who live in the neighborhood that you come from? You rap about your hood all the time. You put people from the hood in your videos, and they still look broken. They still look poor. That should be an embarrassment to you. That's an embarrassment on you, because if you're doing so well, then why are your people not doing well? If you're doing well, then why aren't your people doing well? I mean, no man. Like, imagine if I said, "Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm Dr. Boyce. I got millions of dollars in the bank. I'm chilling. I'm doing great." And then you hear that my wife and my children are homeless, and my kids are starving, and my whole family's broke. Well, you're gonna say, "Well, wait, Dr. Boyce, these are your people. If your people aren't doing well, then that reflects on you." So ultimately, I think the same thing should be true for all of us. We have to say, like, how are our people doing? The people that are around us. If you even if you're a father and you're the head of a household, yeah, your family should be doing well because of you. If you're a mother, you send your kids out dusty and dirty. No, you don't. Your daughter's hair is messed up. No, you say, no, you need to fix your hair because that's a reflection on me. If you go out here with your hair messed up, stinking and looking raggedy, right? So ultimately, I think that this sort of understanding this on a fundamental level is extremely important. So let me give you an example of how I apply this to the real world. Y'all are my people. I know that I have some level of influence, and I'm so honored by that. I kid you not. I'll never take that for granted. And when I'm talking to you, I'm literally listening to see if my people are doing better because I'm here. My goal is to make sure that if you're blessing me by giving me your time, and some of you have invested money in the Black Business School, and God bless you for that. Thank you, because we're putting it to work. We're hiring people, and we're making things happen. But at that point, there's an accountability. There's a process where I say, okay, how are my people doing? If my people love me like this, I need to make sure that their lives are better because I'm here. Because to some extent, this role of leadership, if you will, that I've been given, and again, I receive this humbly. If you ever hear any arrogance out of me, please stop me, because that's not what I'm intending to do. I need to be clear that you can walk away and say, okay, my life is better because I spent all this time with this guy named Boyce. Boyce was around. Now I'm a little smarter. Now I'm more aware. Now I'm financially woke. Now I'm making changes. Now I'm getting things done. So that's what I'm always hearing. In case you want to know when I'm talking to you, if you ever meet me in person, you'll notice I don't do a lot of talking. I do a lot of listening because I want to hear your story and I want to hear how your life is better. And if we're not achieving that yet, I need to figure out what's the gap. What do we need to do to help move forward so we can really get things done? Okay. All right. So let me read here a little bit more. It says the instructional program should teach the keys to community building. I already said that. In chapter 3, we learned that a community code of conduct is essential for a functional community. Learning the code of conduct in school in a formal way will guide the behavior of our children as they learn to relate to each other and to other groups of people inside and outside their sphere of influence. Black children must first learn how to get along with and support other Black children before they can get along with white, Asian, or Hispanic children. A code of conduct teaches the child how to respect, appreciate, and value Black people so that those values will be part of the adults they become. Boom. Let's stop right there, please. Let's talk about loving ourselves before we love other people. I don't know. Give me a yes or no. Do you think that Black people love Black people as much as we love everybody else collectively? Yes or no? Do you think that we love ourselves and love each other as much as we love white folks, Hispanic folks? I don't think we do. I think there's so many. I don't. And I'm not talking about the people in this room. I think that you guys get a lot of things, and that's why I respect you. But like I think about things that people won't even talk about. Like, I'm sorry, but I do believe that there is such a thing as black on black crime. I know people say, well, don't talk about it because it's not. But I'm like, no, but if Pookie got shot in the head, somebody shot him, and I don't. That guy's not my friend. That's not my ally right now. So maybe we can call it something else, but it's real. Let me tell you, right after I get off of this podcast conversation or after out of this book club meeting, I'm gonna get on the phone with a young rapper out of Philadelphia that I love and respect a lot. He's like family. His name is Jay Ortiz. Jay Ortiz was is in LA making music right now, and he was about to release some really important work with a rapper by the name of PNB Rock. I think that's his name, PNB Rock. Now, give me a yes in the chat if you heard that name, PNB Rock, and if you haven't heard that name, I'm going to tell you exactly why that's significant. Well, PNB Rock was about to blow up. PNB Rock was a powernomics guy. He was a young Nipsey Hussle in terms of his mindset. And the reason I know that is because I know he rocked with Jay on a very significant level. They were extremely close friends. And I know how Jay thinks. I know that Jay's family is all about powernomics. Well, uh, PNB Rock had just left his record label to go independent. Again, because he's a powernomics guy, his economic awareness was growing. He was on his way to understand the importance of legacy and to build something of his own. He was doing that through hip hop music, and that's where his pathway was going. Well, about 2-3 weeks ago, PNB Rock was with his girlfriend at a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in LA, if I'm not mistaken. His girlfriend, I guess, tweeted out the location of where they were. It's not her fault. She probably didn't know what was going on, I guess. And when he came out, the guy came up and robbed him and murdered him on the spot. And so Jay and I want to talk to Jay today because I know that it broke his heart because they were very close. And here's the thing. This is why I'm talking about this point about loving each other and codes of conduct and how we teach our children, because I don't know if anybody else saw the news story of exactly what happened. Right now, there's a suspect in custody for the murder of PNB Rock. And did you know that his father allegedly was the driver of the getaway car? Literally, they're claiming, again, innocent till proven guilty, all that applies. But the media right now, if you go look it up on TMZ, right now, TMZ is reporting that whoever killed PNB Rock, the getaway car was driven by the guy's father. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? You got father, son, intergenerational black on black murder, and ain't nobody really calling it for what it is. That is insanity to me. That is insanity to me. Now, here's the thing. We know most fathers and sons don't do this kind of thing. We know that most black people don't want to kill other black people. So I'm not telling you, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, don't teach your kids to go kill people. I'm not going to say, well, don't go out and don't be killing each other, because that would be silly. Ain't none of y'all in here going to kill nobody. Give me a yes in the chat if you don't ever plan to kill another black person for your entire life. Let's just be clear. Give me a yes if you are a person who will never kill another black person. All right, raise your hand. All right. Okay. So that's out of the way. So let's make sure we have the right conversation. The right conversation is not to convince you not to kill anybody. The conversation is not to convince you not to do drive-bys with your kids. The conversation is to say, what are we going to do about those people in the community who are being trained to believe that this is okay? Who are that 1% of 1%, who unfortunately, for whatever reason, end up becoming harmful to the rest of us. Because I don't know about y'all, but I know Jay's mother. I've known her for a long time, and she's mortified that her son's friend, his rap buddy, just got killed by a father-son drive-by comedy. She's scared to death. So and she raises her kids right. All her kids are doing well. All her kids are smart. All her kids wouldn't hurt a fly. So a lot of you all have children that you're raising in the right way, but now you got to worry about other people's kids. You got to worry about how other people are raising their children. You don't have to worry about just what's happening in your household, because you'll be affected by what's happening in somebody else's household. So this is what we're up against. This is what we have to sort of process. So what really has to occur, in my opinion, when you're talking about a lot of this transformational work that has to occur in the Black community, we need to make a power play. The power play is this. The power play is that once you finish transforming yourself, then you must transform the people around you. And once you finish transforming yourself and then transforming the people around you, you must position yourself and your children to have enough power and influence that you can transform entire communities around you. We're going to have to find a way to control some of this chaos that's happening in our communities. We are our last hope. I don't trust the white man to ever solve the black on black crime problem because it's too profitable for him. 50 Cent, the rapper 50 Cent, literally has a new documentary coming out called Hip Hop Homicides. So now I guess I don't know if I don't know what it's I don't know if it's for entertainment to make money or what, but literally now it's become so common. It's just gonna be like, oh yeah, another rapper died today. Let's do a story about it. And the thing that just gets to me is this is a culture that wasn't created by us. This is a culture that's not being promoted by us. This is a culture where we're not the ones profiting from this nonsense. Who's doing this? Well, it's people who don't care nothing about you. So, in my view, look, as much as I'm disappointed with the young man that killed PNB Rock, and as much as I'm disappointed with his father who drove the getaway car, if that is true, again, this is all alleged at this point. I see them as a product of something. I see them as a byproduct of a culture that is being funded with billions of dollars, where they are literally pouring billions of dollars into the mass promotion of black on black death. And then they're getting you distracted from dealing with it because they tell you that it's politically incorrect to talk about it. Well, to hell with you, what you think is politically correct or not. I don't care. I'm not paying attention to none of that. I see it happening. It's very real. Your children are in danger. My children are in danger. So we have to really understand that we are in a war where it is very important that we position ourselves to make the necessary power plays to ensure that there are ways to ensure that our message is stronger than their message. That's why I love the Nation of Islam, because they have black men and black women that are standing up and speaking on these issues. Nuri Muhammad did a video. I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. Please go follow me on Instagram. It's The Real Boyce Watkins. Look for the blue check mark because there's fake pages everywhere. But go to my Instagram, The Real Boyce Watkins. Watch the video Nuri Muhammad did. Nuri Muhammad did an excellent presentation to really address this issue, and he did it in a way that he would do it if he were the president of the United States. Ain't no way on this earth I'm going to give more respect to Joe Biden giving a public address than I give to Nuri Muhammad giving a public address, because I know Nuri Muhammad loves me, Joe Biden does not. So what I'm saying to you is that you have to sort of understand the importance of empowering your mind to realize that everything white folks are doing, you can do the same thing and beyond. Any control they exert in your community, whether it's through media or education or anything else, you can have that same control and that same power, but you must position yourself for the power play. The Black Business School, for example, that is our university. That is every bit as relevant in my world as Harvard, Yale, Stanford, anything else. When they debate over whether or not critical race theory should be taught in the public schools, I didn't participate in that debate because I believe we can teach ourselves real Black history on our own. I said, well, look, if I talk to thousands of people every week or as many people as I can, the internet reaches the entire globe. And if I got every single person to share this information with other people, then we can do this ourselves. Why do we believe that these systematic controls that shape the minds of our children on a mass scale must always be controlled by somebody else? I don't believe that. I don't believe that your media should be owned by other people. I don't believe that your dominant educational system should be owned and controlled by other people. And I don't believe that there's anything stopping you from doing that other than having the mindset necessary to build something of your own. And some of us may have a hard time doing that. That's why our children are going to be the ones who are going to be prepared to take over that process. But they must be given the right mindset early so that they'll aim for the right target when they get older. They won't give up on the idea. If your child's an athlete, they're not going to give up on the idea of having their own sports league just because they don't have enough money. They'll say, well, I'll just start the league with whatever I got. Right? They won't give up on the idea of having their own business. They won't give up on the idea of running their own school if they want to. Right? You can do all these things. Remember, you have $1.6 trillion in your community every year that gives you a gross domestic product that exceeds 95% of the countries on this planet. 95% of the countries on this earth that have their own school system, that have their own sports leagues, that have their own media outlets, they have less money than you. So the only thing that it differentiates you from them is your mindset, because the white man trained you to believe that you always the little man in the room. They trained you to believe that you are the 7-foot midget. You are the guy who, because you're 7 feet tall, and because you're standing next to somebody who's 7'5", you've been convinced your whole life that you're a midget. Ain't no such thing as a damn 7-foot midget. So we got to stop being 7-foot midgets, begin where we stand, start with what we got, and have the right mindset. I don't want to be a 7-foot midget. I'd rather be a 5-foot giant than a 7-foot midget. Let me make that clear. Even if I'm a 5-foot giant, at least I've got a giant mentality. A giant is going to take giant steps. They're going to make giant moves. They're going to go hard with everything they got, and they're typically going to find a way to win, because that confidence and that energy and that drive and that commitment is what's going to put you ahead of everybody else. People say, "Damn, that boy's short, but damn, he plays like he's a giant." Yes, train your kids to be giants. Stop letting the world teach them that they're small. They're not small. They're not. Let me keep going. I'm going to read a little bit more, and then I'm going to be done because I'm losing my voice. So Dr. Anderson says, it is important that children are socialized early to be part of a group and to accept the responsibilities that group membership brings. Black America has internalized a code of conduct from white society that teaches that growth and stability in the white community is everyone's goal, and that Black America should never be independent, self-sufficient, or competitive. Community schools should teach our children that responsible behavior means that every individual act must help strengthen, not weaken, the Black community. That is the target. How do my people benefit? How do Black people benefit? That should be the first question any child in our community should ask when they do anything. How are Black people going to win from this? How are my people going to do better from this? How are we going to move forward from this? Next, the principal function of the family is to protect young children. The family is the first economic and political entity to which Black children are exposed. Kindergarten and elementary schools are extensions of the home and function as a child's first formal external socialization process. It is at this formative point that we must begin to build community-based education in close alliance with Black parents. In elementary schools, students usually learn how to excel individually instead of how to use their strengths to benefit their community and their race. Community-focused education exposes children to systematic learning experiences that grow out of and relate to the needs, values, and concerns of the community. They should learn that being part of a group does not stop one from competing, but they must also learn the value of doing their best to make their group, their team, competitive. If they learn these lessons in their youth, they will continue to function as a team as they get older. So when your kids are young, you teach them that little basic things about success, like it ain't just what you know, it's who you know, right? You have them in a space with other kids that are smart. You put them around smart kids, not dumb kids. And then you help them understand that these are going to be your friends later on that you're going to start businesses with and do things with. So ultimately, we have to really rethink this whole educational process. The solution is very simple, but the implementation is very hard. The solution is simple. The solution is stop letting these white folks educate your kids. They shouldn't be the primary educators of Black children ever on any planet, not in any reality that I know of. The reason it's hard to implement is because there are a lot of practical realities that we all face as parents. Like, well, dang, well, I got to go to work every day. How do I educate my own child? I get that. So maybe what you do is you send your child to school. If you want to, that's fine. There's no problem with that. But then when they come home, you make sure that you're in their ear with education as much as their teachers in their ear, because education is not about what you learn. It is an indoctrination process. It's a socialization process. They don't just give you your information. They give you your value system, which is more important than information, because your value system tells you what to do with the information that you have. Okay, so ultimately, this is all I'm going to talk about today. Let's head on out. Next week, as you guys know, we meet every single week for the book club. If you want to invite your friends to join us, just tell them to go to blackkeystogreatness.com. They don't just get access to the book club live; they get access to all the life class and everything else. Also, if you want to get recordings of all the lectures we've done on Powernomics and everything else, feel free to go to drboycebookclub.com, drboycebookclub.com. The other thing I want to mention to you guys is this week, If you're in the Prime program, we're going to be meeting tomorrow night. So drboyceprime.com. That's stock options, but that's what we do on Thursday. So if you are in the Prime program, just go to drboyceprime.com, log in, and we'll meet tomorrow night. And then Friday night, we're having a free event for Black Business School students with Dr. Christina Parks. Dr. Parks is going to talk about those jabs that they're offering to your children. Dr. Parks is a PhD in cell and molecular biology from the University of Michigan. She is 100% B1. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. She's extremely smart, and she has, let's say, some relatively unpopular opinions about what some of these chemicals that they're putting into our kids are doing to them. So you can take it with a grain of salt or whatever you want to do, but she's coming in and she'd like to share some knowledge. So Friday night, we're going to bring her in, but it's going to be a private Zoom. And because we can't put it on YouTube or anything else because she might use the V word, and I don't want them to ban the channels and all that. So I said, okay, come on in. We'll do a private Zoom. So that's going to be Friday night. If you want to join us, go to boycewatkins.com. I'm going to put that link up there. I'm going to put it up in a few minutes after we get done. I'm going to put the link up there so you can sign up directly. And also, you'll get an email from us. So make sure you're on our email list, which you can also get on at boycewatkins.com. All right, everybody. It was great to see you. God bless you, and I hope to see a lot of you at the convention. If you can't make it, I hope you'll consider coming out. It's going to be in Charlotte, October 28th. And I love you, and I hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you soon now. Take care. Bye-bye.